This is Plots Technology Book Club. We are reading Forgiving Our Parents, Forgiving Ourselves. This is really going to help us foster human connection. So, we just got done with the end of page for our introduction on page 8, and we're reading from page 9. Now, it's important to note these are 10-minute readings, so it doesn't go over too long. He was emotionally absent, except when the time came to go downstairs. The interesting thing is that for years, if you had asked me whether I had a happy childhood, I would have said yes without second thought. Were we close as family? Of course, would have been my answer. My parents took good care of us. We never lacked for anything important, even when Dad's factory was on strike. We were a good family. Or were we? My sister's words on the phone suddenly made me feel less confident that we were really all that close, or that everything had really all that wonderful, had been all that wonderful. I did not like these new thoughts. They felt dangerous. Like all people who had idolized a parent, I had let my dad off the hook in a number of ways. I had carefully created a picture of my family as a happy place, which I think most people do. I had carefully created a picture of my family as a happy place, one where anything unpleasant could be readily explained away. I focus on remembering the good parts, which I think most people try to do. For example, because we were all so emotionally distant, I enjoyed a great deal of freedom and independence. I had a news I had newspaper routes from an early age show, so I always had money. In summer when school was out, I could hop on my bike in the morning and not come home until dinner time. Oh man, that was the best. I actually remember that. I wish my son had that experience, but the world's crazy now, so I can't. But anywho, off topic here. One of my special pleasures was going to symphony concerts all by myself. Ooh, isn't he fancy? Even in grade school, I'd ride the streetcar there and back. It wasn't until years later when I realized I never allowed my kids that kind of freedom. It's because you were protecting them. That I began to have second thoughts about my family of origin. I came to see that the reason why I didn't grant my kids that kind of latitude was not simply because times are different now. Well, I think that's definitely the case. I'm interested in to see what he says though. It had to do with the fact that in my mind, all that freedom was linked to a sense of emotional abandonment. That's interesting. I just knew I wanted my family to be different. I think that's a good thing. We want to our families to improve and be better, than we had it. I think every generation wants to improve and be better and happier and more fulfilled in life. I worked hard at earning Dad's approval. One summer, when I was still in grade school, his major project was repainting our wood frame house. I found it fascinating. I wanted to do what my dad was doing, so I pestered him to help me a lot. That's the key thing. If you're a kid, don't say I said this, okay? I don't want this coming back on me. But if you're a kid, you gotta pester your parent, and eventually they might say yes. Anywho, and I wanted to do what my dad was doing, so I pestered him to let me help. I could paint the bottom rows of siding, I said. He wasn't interested. Gotta try harder, bud. You don't know anything about painting, he said. Go play with your friends. I've got work to do. Several weeks later, I was attending a vacation Bible school at church. The craft project was to build a birdhouse. It was finished. If we finished it in time, we would get to paint it. Well, that's cool. I felt so proud when the teacher commented on how well I had painted my birdhouse. You're an excellent painter, she said. You even know how to hold the brush. I couldn't wait to show the finished project to my dad because I felt like my dad was going to be proud of me, probably, if I was him. I'd be excited too. When I told him what the teacher had said, he responded with a quick glance and a barely audible, You ever get that when you thought your dad's going to be really proud of you and you get a, do you like this book reading? Then he went back to reading his paper. I can still remember the hot shame on my cheeks. Why did I have to have such an old father? One who was always too tired to care about what I did. See, he just wants his dad to care and be proud of him, right? As I grew to adulthood, I searched for answers, for some way to understand why my father was the way he was. I wanted to find out what he was like and where he came from. I think that's important for all our fathers. We want to know how he grew up, what circumstances were he in, what he had to learn, like his background story, right? I feel like that's super important. He had come to the United States from Northern Ireland. I knew that much. I had always been proud of the fact that my dad was Irish and my mom was mostly Irish. So he's born in an Irish family. That's cool. But when I asked him about it, he would brush me off with a gruff, I don't want to talk about it. I dreamt of someday going to Ireland. I once asked him if he ever wanted to go back, and he was like, never, was his standard reply. Dad grew up in Northern Ireland during a tumultuous era with the Leanne Uris wrote about in his novel Trinity. It was a cruel, terrifying period of history. The few things Dad did say about Ireland were beyond my comprehension. He would talk about the Troubles and about truckloads of bodies being dumped into the river. Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to talk about that either if I saw mass genocide. Anyways, back to the story. Then he would become silent and nothing could get him talking again. He acted as though he wanted to forget his roots. I can probably understand why. That's some deep-rooted trauma. But other things, he did seem belly his disinterest in his heritage. Sometimes I would find him sitting in the living room next to the radio, listening to the Queen of England speaking in the Kenyan station. I'm trying to hurry because it's only 20 seconds. I remember thinking to myself, why is he so interested in the Queen if she is saying if he won't talk about where he grew up? So we're in the top of page 11. Thank you guys so much for following me and reading Forgiving Our Parents, Forgiving Ourselves. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a blessed night.